Hello, hello, hello. Welcome. Um, so yesterday we went through uh, picking your location. We went through the cost of the location, and I started providing information from the spreadsheet, which is your budget. So if you're opening a restaurant or bar or cafe, whatever it may be, and you do not have a budget. And when I say that, I mean, um, I'm going to bring up a budget here to show you. Right. I'm going to bring up the best way to do this, I believe. Let's see. Calendar documents. Here we go. Okay, I think I'm in the. All right. So that did not work. But let's go try again. What do they say? If at first you do not succeed, try again. All right. So there we go, but I'm not sure why it's not open. So that's not good. Hmm. Hmm. Oh, there we go. So I think you can see that. Let's see, we got this. Yeah. Okay. Can we see this? Yes, 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 yes. It's, they've removed all of the it's removed all of the formatting, but I think this will work. So go Blackbird. Okay. So I'm going to go through this line by line and column by column. And I think that's going to help you understand what what everything is on here. Okay. So and the mix here could be anything. We had very high beer sales because it was a tap house concept. But you could, these could be anything. You could change these and they could come up totally different. These could be switched. You'd be 57% food, 30% beer. Um, the reason I like beverage heavy concepts is because beverages take less labor to produce, to deliver, and they take their higher profit margin from a cost perspective. So I'm going to go through. So next, we've talked about the location, which I'm going to continue to go back and hit on the location. And I'm going to do a separate video all about location, about how to quantify if you've got 76,000 cars passing your retail location every day. How many of those do you actually think, you can count on to pull in and capture? And then how does that translate into sales? Um, but I think it'll make more sense once I go through this from top to bottom and outline it. So this first column or row here is retail sales. So now these are the different types of retail sales, and then this is the percentage of the total sales. So food sales are 30% of 100%. Uh, Monthly, this would be the month, weekly, daily, and then yearly. So obviously, this is every single day. You need to generate $3,333 in revenue at the end of the day in order to achieve this goal, which yields $100,000 in total revenue on a monthly basis. And I rounded this off. This is, if you're doing 1.2 million a year, some restaurants do 5 times that, some do half, just depends. But the numbers are the numbers. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what concept you have. You can cut this in half. All the other numbers need to be cut in half. If it works on a small scale, it'll work on a bigger scale. Um, you just have to, all the numbers have to be aligned. At the end of the day, you're spending less than you bring in. It's just like your budget at home. You're trying to spend less than you bring in. But it's just the numbers are so much bigger than like your personal budget that the potential to make or lose money is equally, uh, to the scale. All right. Again, I'm going to start revenue. So let's take food sales. I'm estimating that 30% of all the revenue I bring in are going to come from food sales. Why is that important? Because food sales are down here. This is the cost of the food sale. So for every dollar in food sale that I bring in, I have 1/3 of that, or 33%, is going to go out for the cost of the food. That's the lettuce, the hamburger, whatever it may be. It's all the materials to make the product, the food item. Second uh, line item here is beer sales. So this is like if you've got a bunch of taps or whatever, however you're selling it. The reason I like taps is because the cost of the product is far lower than bottles or cans. But if you don't have space, you have to use cans and bottles. Um, so 57,000 or you know $1,900 a day coming from beer sales. This is again a tap house concept. Doesn't matter if that could be. The reason I like that is because, and why it's better to have these two numbers like this is because 28% is the cost of beer sales, and it requires far less labor to deliver a pint of beer than it does to deliver a full plate of food. As far as you have to have a busser, you have to have a server, you have to have somebody in 5 people in the kitchen. The labor associated with this dollar sale and this one are far different. So I'd much rather have 57% of coming from beer sales. All right. Next one is wine sales. So wine, and if you have hard alcohol, you would put hard alcohol in here. But wine, it's kind of like, especially if you're selling a ton of beer, wine is not going to be a big thing. Now, if you have a wine concept, these two numbers could be flipped. Reason I'd rather have it be beer is because the cost of the beer is less than wine. Wine's around 33%. And the opportunity to overpour with wine is so much greater. Um, I would have a example glass set up for wine where you do not. allow your servers to pour more than, you put a line on a glass and you don't allow the server to pour more than what's in that line um, of the example glass. And I'm going to do some videos to kind of show these concepts just for people who really, I might be taking it for granted that you understand what I'm talking about. I'll do some digging deeper and do some videos later um, to get into. So here we got miscellaneous. This is just kind of everything that doesn't, Red Bull, everything that doesn't fall into these categories here, or if you don't have hard alcohol. If you have hard alcohol, then this would be a hard alcohol line, and there'd be a miscellaneous line below that. Um, all right. So we go down here. Cost of beer sales 28%, cost of wine, and the cost of miscellaneous. So this 1%, the cost is 20%. There's lower cost on that, but you're not doing much volume there. So you've got your revenue, and now here's the first subtractions. These are subtractions from this number. So the first subtractions are 9,000 for monthly for beer. That's cakes, everything you're ordering. Um, I'm sorry, food, 9,900. And then 15,000 is your cost of beer, 3,900 is your cost of wine, and 200 is your cost of miscellaneous. That equals $30,000 a month. So you take this 30,000 and you subtract it from all the money you brought in, the $100,000 right here. And now, after you take out purely the cost of goods, you subtract that, and it leaves you with 69,980 in gross profit. That's the revenue minus the cost, direct cost to produce of the product. Not the labor associated with it, just the cost of the product. It's just what you're paying when it comes in the door. If we break that down, go over here to the weekly, that's seven grand a week. And the number I like to pay attention to is this number here, the daily, because you can get a sense of how well you're doing on a daily basis. If you know you need $3,333 in daily sales, for every day you go below that or above it, for every day you go below it, you got to make it up by going above it a certain amount. I like to say the biggest swing in the restaurant business is the difference between making a dollar and losing a dollar. It's a $3 swing or $3 total round trip swing from making a dollar to losing a dollar, but the difference between those two things is enormous. And the reason I'm saying that is because if you make $1 a day, you have $30 in excess funds to build the business and to put back into the business and to advertise the business more than you normally would, create a promotion, to give out a door prize, whatever. You have $30 at the end of the day if you make a dollar every day at the end of the month. If you lose a dollar every month, I'm sorry, a dollar every day, at the end of the month, you have to reach in your pocket or borrow or put on a credit card and or go into your any funds you have for expansion and bring those out. So uh, it's important. Hold on here. I have to respond to this. I got to pick my daughter up. So I just got notice of that. All right. Sorry. Life is always, she still goes on. My daughter needs to be picked up at 2:30 rather than um, 3:30 or 4. So, uh, that is going to disrupt my day. Anyway, but I love her. So anyway, let's go back here. So yeah, the dollar concept, the dollar swing. Um, it's huge. It's $1 a day, but the difference between having to contribute $30 and having an extra $30 is a $60 swing, but it's a huge difference to having to come up with the money. Because it's one is going to leave you money to build the business, the other one's going to take money away from being able to build the business. Huge, huge. And I think I'll go into that a little bit more as we go on, but that's one of the simple concepts in retail that is so overlooked. Uh, is that swing. Getting to break even is is everything. It's everything. Okay. So this number excludes sales tax. Yeah, and a lot of people get in trouble because what they do is when someone comes into your restaurant and they pay sales tax, you don't get to keep that money. That money, you're just collecting it for the government. You're doing a service to the government by collecting that money, and then you hold it for them, and then you pay that to the government. Uh, this is something people get behind on. I've done it before. You that money's in your account, so you think, oh, well, I'll have it at the end of the month. We're going to have some better days coming up. Do not do that. Do not put that money in a separate account. Don't touch it. It's not there to help you, make payroll or build the business. It's there to and if you can't do that, then you're not making money. So you're failing. So you have to readjust the concept at that point rather than dip into that money. So let's go. Um, I'm using this $100,000 number because it equates to 1.2 million. Now with inflation, this is probably more like 2.2, but just for round numbers, it doesn't matter what you're bringing in. If you're bringing in 6 grand, then all these numbers, have to be in equal proportion to that additional revenue. All right. Um, Coming down here, cost of goods. So you tally up all of this. And again, let's go over to a daily basis because sometimes these numbers can be a little too abstract. Come over here and you see on a daily basis, it's 1,000 of your 3,300 is got to go to product cost. So now what do you have? You've got 2,200 on a daily basis, 2,300 on a daily basis, and 69,900, approximately 70,000 as your gross profit. So now what comes out of gross profit? So now everything else comes out of gross profit. So I'm going to go down this line by line and accounting. So some people have better accountants, some people do it in-house, some people can do it themselves. I recommend having an outside accountant, paying them. This is what the fee, it could be whatever it could be, but it could be more than that, or less, depending on, and you got to get somebody you absolutely trust because they can steal from you blindly if you're making money. Advertising, this is your direct ads on Facebook. If you place an ad in the local, um, whatever you're doing promotion wise for advertising, which I recommend Facebook direct ads. That's works well. I don't, radio, things of that nature. You can't measure it, so I have a really hard time knowing if it ever worked or not. Um, some of the best advertising is just getting a relationship with somebody, bloggers, getting a relationship with influencers, people that have a passion for your products, and convincing them to write about it. Um, Back in the day, for me, it was getting a food critic or somebody to write an article about it. Alarm, this is just so when somebody smashes your window at 3 in the morning, that they call you and you have to come down there and figure out what's going on. Credit card processing, this is what the money you pay to the credit card company for taking credit cards. So this is 1300. Cable, this is so you can have television, whatever. You have to pay higher fees for cable. Uh, it's not like your home because you're making money off the content. So they charge you more money than they do at uh, at your home. So that's why this number is higher than what you might see it as being at home. Rent, this is we talked about this in the first video, 14,000. Um, this is per square foot. So a smaller place is going to be, could be more or less per square foot. Um, but yeah, so on a daily basis, 500 bucks of your $3,300 is going out to rent. Uh, this could be as high as 20,000 in this scenario, or 20% of the total revenue. If it gets higher than that, you're most likely uh, going to have a problem. So um, shoot for this to be no more than 20%, and more likely your target's better to be 14%. Um, maybe I should have put that right. Maybe I'll put it right there in future episodes. Insurance, this is somebody slips and falls, depending on, how dangerous your track record is. This is insurance, just like for your car. It's based on where you're at, that type of thing. Where your location is, how much risk is there in that area of somebody coming in and breaking into your place and stealing everything. Um, Workman's comp insurance. Okay, so now this number here is a percentage of this number, payroll right here. So the higher this goes, the higher this goes. So there's an extra 9 to 12% on top of that you have to pay as the employer. Not what comes out of the check of the staff, but what you have to pay as an employer. Um, yeah. So going down, I'm not going to talk about payroll today because that's going to be the last thing I talk about. I'm going to continue to talk about it is considered part of fixed cost, or not fixed cost, part of uh, operating costs after gross profit, but it's variable. So these are all fixed for the most part, and this payroll taxes, payroll, and workman's comp insurance, those are all based on this number. So you have control over it. You can lower this number, work more hours yourself. And so I'm going to do the next episode. It's going to be on payroll taxes, and workman's comp insurance. So I'm not going to talk about that right now. Office supplies, this is if you have to print, menus or flyers or whatever, uh, table tents. Telephone, this is you can't have a cell phone. You have to have somebody pick up the phone and, take reservations or answer the phone. Um, Utilities, this is electricity or gas or whatever system you have it where you're located. And then waste disposal, that's your dumpster where you throw all your food at the end of the night. So in this scenario, if you take all of these items, payroll, everything, add them up, they add up to $52,287. And so then you subtract that number from the gross profit, which is the 69,000. So this number is cash you have left. You pay all these things, and all these things add up to 52,287. When you subtract 52,287 from 69, where are you? 69, 8. 980, you get $17,692. So if you own this place by yourself and you are paid yourself as part of the employees right here, a reasonable salary, then this is what you get to keep at the end of the day, 18%, which is high, but this is a beverage heavy concept. So that's how I get to this number. If it was a food heavy concept, this would be closer to 10%. So if I look at the breakdown of the cost, like I said from the beginning, in video one, if you haven't watched the other videos, this is probably not making a lot of sense to you, so you need to go back and watch those other videos. Um, Payroll, 30,000, approximately 30% of 100,000, which is the revenue. Fixed cost, 21,537, which is approximately 20%, uh, 21% of the revenue. Product cost, $30,020, approximately 30%. So when you subtract all these items from 100, you get 17,692 is what's left. That's your profit. So if you break it down to a daily basis, you're making $500 and almost $600 a day is what you make. And you can use that to open your second location, or, you know, just improve, improve the restaurant. Now, you're always not going to be the shiny new penny. So what people do is when you're the shiny new restaurant and everything's super busy, they think this is going to go on forever and you're going to be making this money forever. But as you have to get your costs under control and as all of a sudden newer restaurants open, uh, your foot traffic and your revenue is going to go down. It's going to normalize. So you're not always going to have the almost $600 a day to spend. So what I would do if I had to do over again was I would take some of this, half of this, and I would put it into a fund for renovating. And so after 1 year or year and a half, I would do a refresh. I'd take the $500 a day. So here, I'll just do a quick, if you do, five times, 300, uh, 5 times 350, so figure 350 days a year. Uh, five, times three. Let's just figure 300 days a year. Five times three, is going to give you um, around $150,000 to do a refresh or a remodel. Uh, and so hold on here. Let me just make sure I got that right. So figure you 300 days a year times 500. So that would give you 150,000. So if you take half of that, it gives you $75,000 to do uh, a remodel, a mini remodel to refresh, bring in some maybe a new piece of equipment to make different food, add something new, so that you can be the shiny penny. So we'll go over all that a little more. I think I'm at my limit here where I want to be um, for this video. So uh, subscribe. I don't think I have any subscribers yet. So start a trend. Wow. All right. Thank you.